My name is Rick Haskell. I'd like to welcome you to Economics 3100 or Labor Economics. In this video, I'd like to introduce you to the central theme of the course, talk a little bit about communication with respect to how we deal with communicating with one another in the course. We'll ultimately talk about instructor access beyond that. We'll look heavily at the course organization and talk about some of the assignments with respect to this course. To begin with, let's talk about the central theme. The central theme of this course is really embodied in a question. Why do different workers receive different wages? Now that might seem obvious to some of us at this point. If you're an economist already, if you've taken economics courses, it's probably more obvious to you than if you're not. But to all of us, we think we know an answer to this question as to why different workers receive different wages. It's more complex than we might think it is. It includes things like compensating wage differentials. It includes isoquant and isoprofit curves as with respect to workers and their employers. It includes discrimination, income inequalities. It includes friction in the labor market. It includes perfectly clearing markets. And all of these different concepts, and there's many more, of course, that will help us answer this question. The course is organized through 15 different modules, each of which has a number of videos, anywhere from 4 to 6 videos. As you go through and begin your modules, you'll see that the first module has 6 videos. After each video, and these videos are approximately 10 minutes each, after each video, you'll find that there's a 4 to 5 question quiz. It's scored, graded, and you'll take that before moving on to the next video. And at the end of the 4 or maybe 6 videos that you'll find in these different modules, there's a review problem, which is also scored and which represents a significant portion of your grade. As you take a look at this and work through that review problem, you'll see for that particular module how it deals with why different workers receive different wages. In the first 3 or 4 modules, we're really looking at the mathematics and the equational construction and the graphic modeling that help us explain or illustrate why different workers receive different wages. And then in modules 5 through 15, we're giving good, solid foundational explanations as to why different workers receive different wages. When you go to the modules and take the quizzes, you actually have 2 attempts at each quiz. And your grade then for that quiz becomes the average score of your attempts. So don't just blow through the first one and risk getting all the answers wrong, then go on to the second one after you've seen the answers perhaps and answer it perfectly, because that's going to give you only a 50% score. That's not going to serve you all that well. So pay attention to these, respect them, and get the benefit that you can from having spent the time to go through them. The same is true of the review problem. However, in the review problem, again, it has 2 different attempts that you've got to it, and it's a multi-part problem, and some of it is just objective. You'll have a question, and there'll be several answers, and you choose A, B, C, or D. But there's always at least a couple of questions where you have to write a response, type it into Canvas, or you actually have to create an equation or a graphic that you'll then scan, photograph, etc., and attach it to the Canvas question. I'll ask that when you do the writing of answers or when you attach documents to Canvas and you're in the review problems, attach these things to the last of your attempts. If you only have 1 attempt at it and you're fine with that, that's the last attempt. If you take both attempts, then attach them to the second attempt. That way it makes it a lot easier for me to grade. Also, this review problem, having 2 attempts, you're going to receive the average score for your attempts. So again, don't blow off the first one and just run through it and looking for the right answers for the second one. That's not going to serve you all that well. If you take 2 attempts at it, and when I go to score the written piece or the graphic piece, I actually will give it twice the number of points that it was worth in a single attempt, so that when it is averaged out, it's giving you the right number of points for this average of the attempts. So as we move forward then, we're going to take a look a little bit at the Canvas page for the class. A couple of things that you'll see here. One is that when you start the course, you'll go to this Start Here tab or button, and that will take you to the orientation section. It'll tell you a little bit more about what I'm just telling you now. This video is also represented there. You don't need to watch it twice. and then it'll lead you to the modules. And this is the modules page. I'll show it to you in a few minutes, but you'll see here where and how we've constructed these modules. But before we even go to that, I want to have you think about setting your notifications for the course by clicking on the Accounts tab and then going to Notifications. When you do that, you'll see a significant list of things that you can do here for each of the various communications mechanisms that you've got. I've got this open to my notifications page, and you'll see the different emails that I use through Canvas. I use my University of Utah Unit email. I use my my regular University of Utah email. I use my economics email, and I also have here my text number. And you can then go ahead and put as many emails here, I think, as you might like. But you can go ahead and set your preferences as to how often and what way Canvas communicates to you. I'll ask you for announcements and for discussions and conversations to go ahead and set these such that you receive the announcement or the discussion or the conversation. And conversation in Canvas is simply email to the rest of us. And set them such that you receive notifications of them on your smart device, your cell phone, whatever it is, so that you don't miss out on some of the important pieces of communication that come to you, especially with respect to announcements and conversations. I communicate regularly through the course via the announcements and the conversations, and one of the things that becomes very frustrating for students is to realize that something's been announced to them, some changes perhaps, or some information that's very important to them, only to realize that they're not checking their Canvas page often enough and they've missed it, and now the time has passed. So in this case, please go to Accounts and then Notifications, and then change these notifications such that you will receive your information via Canvas right on your smart device so it doesn't escape you. As we move forward, we're going to take a look in a moment at the modules and quizzes and review problems, help you see what this is all about. But in this class, we have the modules, quizzes, and review problems. There are 15, as I said. Interspersed through the course, there are 5 different Canvas discussions. Each discussion is on a topic that we deal with kind of tangentially in the course. But because this is a quantitative intensive course that satisfies university requirement for QI, I don't go into a lot of time in the course about these different items. These are items such as the minimum wage, such as capital intensity in the labor markets, or robotics, if you will. Perhaps such as the thoughts about healthcare and how it affects the labor markets. So in these Canvas discussions, I go ahead and give you some information about a particular item, maybe a couple of articles that you can read about these. And these are articles that are coming out of magazines and blog posts. These are not peer-reviewed academic journal articles that will give you a headache. And I expect you to read 1 or 2, maybe even 3 of these if you're interested in them. And then you will create a post in a discussion on Canvas that is telling the rest of us what you think about or how you're responding to some of these issues. Each of us are responsible to do an original post and then separately to respond to someone else's post, and then finally to respond to someone that responded to you. Well, obviously, if we wait until the very last day that this assignment is due, and I'll try to deal with that on the last day, it's not going to work. So I give you little prompts through announcements periodically to remind you that this assignment's coming up, it's got a due date, and you need to be actively participating in it so that everybody can fulfill all 3 of these posts. It's important that you do all 3 of them to get the full points for these. We then will have 2 exams for the course, a midterm exam. It will be quantitative, largely a little bit of qualitative with it. It's graphing, it's equations, and if you've done well in following through on the videos, you should have no difficulty with the midterm exam. And then at the end, there's a final exam, of course. The final exam is not expressly comprehensive. Of its questions, only one of them will be comprehensive, and the others will be with respect to the modules that have been covered since the midterm. But that one, as you'll see throughout the course, really is where we are building on concepts from the very beginning of the course. You'll also do a course essay that's due at the very end, and you have it open to you even right now in the assignments. If you go look at the details of this, it's available. I'll cover those in a few more minutes in this orientation as well. But it is an essay in response to the question, why do different workers receive different wages? I'll also show you in this orientation a little bit about some supplemental resources. So first, as we look at, the modules, you can see that this is the modules page, and for module 1, it has part 1 and part 2 and part 3 and then a wrap-up. And each one of these parts introducing you to the videos that are relevant to that section and the quizzes, and then the wrap-up gives you the review problem and opens up some supplemental resources for you that are optional completely. So we'll take a look a little further. This is the course orientation that you need to start with. As I said, this video that I've got for you is already right here. You don't need to watch it again. But this takes you through a number of items, introduces you to the essay, introduces you to quizzes, takes a look at setting your preferences. Again, a little bit more detail of what I did a few moments ago. Just gives you some general information about the course. And frankly, I think it's important. If you will follow through and do those things that are noted in the this orientation and this introduction, then you'll spend 2 to 4 hours a week on this class, and you'll gain a great deal of information. You'll come to have a much better understanding of how you integrate or how you are involved in the labor markets that you're going to deal with for the next 20, 30, or 40 years. And you'll feel as though you learned a great deal. If you don't, you'll be frustrated and you'll struggle. This course is not difficult to get a good grade in, but it's easy to get a bad grade if you don't pay attention, if you don't follow the process and progress of the course. So as we look at the different modules, here's module 1. And this is the first page of module 1, which just gives you a little bit of text introduction to the module, tells you what we're going to be covering in the module, the things you need to do, and then lets you look at the module resources. And you have access to the module resources on several different, or I think on each page of the module. And if you just click on next, it'll take you to the next page for the module, and in which case you'll see the videos, module 1.1, 1.2, or video 1.1 and video 1.2. After each of these, you see that there's a quiz, and like I said, module resources is here. As you then go through these, you'll see the video. You'll be able to then move on to the next, and so on until you get to the review problem and finish the module. Let me give you a brief understanding of what these videos are like. So here I've gone ahead and hopefully loaded one up that'll be live for you. Well, I don't see that it's coming up live for us here, so the technology is getting the better part of me. But what you'll see in these videos is a opening screen that'll tell you the different things that are going to be covered. And then as you go past that, you'll see me actually working through and talking through these things. You won't see me at a whiteboard or any such thing. These are all Khan Academy style, such that I introduce something to you, and then maybe I give you an equation for it, and then I show you how to draw it out, and what the different curves mean, and how they're labeled, and such. I do it a little bit neater than that, but I'm sadly only a little bit neater. And then we move on to the next one. So in the module wrap-up, you then see the review problem that you must complete. The review problems, I believe, are worth 25% of your score, so do not take these lightly. Spend some time with them. Honestly, many students go through the review problem on one computer while they have the videos playing on another, so that they can be doing them simultaneously, and you might think that's kind of cheating the system, but it's not. It's just you taking advantage of the technology you have so that you can learn these things. So if you need to do that, do that. I show you the due date and time, and then after that due date and time, as soon as that is over, whether you have gone ahead and submitted the module review problem or not, then you can click here and it will open up the questions and the answers. So you can see exactly how I did, what the answers were intended to be. And again, some of these are multiple choice. A couple of them are true-false. Many of them, however, are where you're giving me a graph or you're giving me an equation. You're showing me how you're solving the equation. In the Canvas discussions, as I indicated, you can see here that there are 5 of them. You'll see that they each have a topic and a due date. You'll see that when this is repeated for you, you'll see some instruction here as to having to do all 3 of the responses. And when you start this, you'll go ahead and open one of these up, and you'll do your posts, and make sure that you get all of these in before the deadline. Here's how I score these. If you only give me one of the 3 responses, so your initial post, your maximum score is 7 out of 10. If you give me 2, so your initial comments and a response to someone else, then your maximum score is 8 of 10. If you give me all 3 posts, then your maximum score is 10 of 10, of course. But if you're very skimpy in some of how much you've written, if I can't tell that you really thought this through or spent time with it, then maybe only get 9 of 10. So just doing the posts and giving some half-baked effort won't give you all the points. You recognize I said that these things will give you the maximum points for these are 7, 8, or 10, but you still have to put in the effort. What I'm trying to do here is motivate you to speak to each other, learn a little bit from each other. You'll see a few of my thoughts perhaps at the very beginning of these, and I might even jump in every once in a while into the discussion. I don't do that very often, but I might even jump in every once in a while to the discussion and give you some more thoughts on things. But this is really you kind of learning from each other in this course. Before the midterm exam, and then before the review exam, I hold a live review. Excuse me, I said the midterm exam and the review. It's the midterm exam and the final. I hold a live review. It'll be on a class at the University of Utah in some room a night, several days before the exam is held, and you are welcome to come to that. You'll get an announcement about it, and I will spend time during that live review answering questions and going through what I think are the most relevant models, metrics, explanations, theories that are relevant to that particular exam that you're going to experience. Also then on this midterm exam page, just like on the final exam review page, you'll see that you have the different review problems noted, and then you have a set of complementary problems, not complementary as in free, but complementary as in complementing the review problems. The same material, but coming at it from a different angle perhaps. And you'll see I give you problems without solutions, and then I give you the problems with the solutions. They're the exact same item. And these are going to be similar to, in some cases maybe very similar to the review problems, but they'll be similar. They'll be using the same concepts and graphing and equational structures, but oftentimes they'll come at it from a slightly different angle to give you a little bit richer understanding to help you be better prepared for the exam that you're going to experience. After each of the exams, by the way, once I've scored them, I also go ahead and do a video for you that walks you through how I did each of the questions, what I think the answers are supposed to be, how I got the answers, how I did the graph, so you can see exactly how this was done. On the course essay, as I indicated, you'll see that there is a due date and time. You'll see that I want it as a single MS Word or PDF document. I'm looking for a minimum of 1,500 words. By the way, a minimum performance receives a minimum grade, which in this case, that's like 70%. I'm looking for you to give me at least 3 separate concepts, 3 separate reasons as to why different workers receive different wages, and I want you to explain those concepts and give me a graphic model of those concepts, all of which you should be well prepared to give. You'll also note that for each of these pages that you've seen that are in the modules, there's a little link that takes you to supplemental resources. Supplemental resources are going to be able to be found through this page, but also I have a website that is www.richardhaskell.net. So www.richardhaskell.net. And if you go to that site and go to in-class problems, you'll see there's a section for the labor market. And in there, you'll see numerous types of problems, and you'll see the answers to them. And the answers are not just the one word or one number answer. They're how I got them, how that answer was developed, etc. So they're not just question and answers. They're giving you some understanding as to how the answers were cultivated. So So to go a little further into the course organization, I want to give you my single best piece of advice as to how to get through this course. And it is simply watch the videos. I mean, really, watch the videos. Take your time and really spend time watching these videos. And it stuns me how many people don't do this. I track through Canvas and through YouTube, where I have some of these videos housed, the statistics on the videos. And when it comes to the number of times each video for a particular module or concept is watched, it's typically half the number of students of the course. So that means if there's 50 students in the course, I find that each video is being watched approximately 25 times. Which means that only half the students at best are watching the videos. And I find that that the average duration is very short. Well, also knowing that some students watch the video more than once, that means that fewer than half the students might have watched the videos. Some of them that are economics majors think they don't need to. It's interesting. Each semester, some of the students that do the very best in the course are those that are not economics majors. And some of the students that do very worst in the course, that have the lowest scores, are economics majors because they didn't think they needed to pay attention. The labor market is simply described in this course through microeconomics, but unless you pay attention to the course, unless you read the material, which in this case is view the videos, then you're going to miss out on some very important pieces of information. So at the end of this, just watch the freaking videos. Did I get my point across? I hope so. So let me give you a word about grades. So after you look at the scores, or after you've done a quiz or a review problem or one of the other assignments, you'll go to the gradebook part of Canvas and you'll see a score. Make sure when you look at that you have your settings set such that missing or ungraded assignments are treated as 0. If you don't turn in an assignment, then it's automatically 0, but it didn't get a 0 grade, but it is automatically 0. If you skip a question on a review problem, then it doesn't get a score. It effectively gets a 0, but it didn't get a 0 score that I input, so it's void, which we know void means 0, but unless it has a 0 attached to it, it doesn't really then come up on this Canvas gradebook, so you have to set the treat missing assignments or treat ungraded assignments as 0. Also on the gradebook, if you see a black circle with a Q inside of it, that does not mean that the assignment wasn't scored. It means that you left something blank. I sometimes will leave those blank myself. I will not give a score to you where you've left it blank, sometimes to differentiate what you simply didn't do versus what you did that was incorrect. So pay attention to this. A little bit further into this course, you're going to start to be very interested in what your grade looks like. Make sure that you've got the treated ungraded assignments set as 0. Make sure you've checked that, and make sure you're paying attention to those circle cues. And know there is a score there. It's not complete because you left it incomplete. So to access me, you have my text number or my cell phone number. You have my University of Utah email address. You have my website. You have my faculty profile. Oh, that's a mess, of course. I would tell you that if you will text me or email me, I will respond to you. In fact, if you text me late at night, you're probably going to get a response late at night. Or email me as soon as I see the email, I'm going to give you a response. And sometimes that is in the middle of the night. And so I hope that's not going to bother you. I try to get back to you as quickly as I can. I rarely answer my phone. However, if you send me a text or send me an email and you need a voice-to-voice conversation, I'm absolutely prepared to call you. And I'd like you to indicate when a good time might be for that. You'll have access to me during my office hours, which are posted on the syllabus. You'll have access to me at any other time that you might be able to set or want to set an appointment with me. I try to make myself very accessible to you in this course, perhaps much more so than you would expect from an online course. I think most of the student evaluations would suggest that. I do this because I love the material in this. I expect you to communicate through Canvas email as much as possible. I will respond to you through UMail, but it will embed itself in the Canvas email, so it's a permanent part of the course record for you. If you have a problem, reach out to me. If this course is being taught in the same term that there is a live course at the University of Utah where I also teach this particular course, then you, as an online student, you would be able to attend that live section as well at any point that you might want to. Sometimes I'll teach that live section in the evening through maybe the Sandy campus or the Bountiful campus, or sometimes on the main campus. But if you're taking this course online in the same semester in which it's being taught in a live section, you are more than welcome to attend any part or all of the live section. Is absolutely on a voluntary, not required basis. You don't get any attendance points, but it may help you understand a concept that you might not have otherwise understood. Well, I hope you're ready for this class. I'm excited about it. I love this material. Please feel free to reach out to me. And by the way, the first person that reaches out to me by Canvas email after viewing this orientation video, I will give you a $15 Starbucks gift card. Have a great semester. I look forward to speaking with you.